So I was in the shower, I was cleaning my ass and making all sure all sparkly. Thank you, clean.
I'm not the funny one. I'm the pretty one.
Cock shots. I just checked myself out.
Candles, music, wine, and then move on to get on top.
The glory hole is like a dick theater. I've imagined your family.
Which means your pants had better come off. Mama needs playtime.
We're not sluts.
We just love love. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. we're back.
And we're live from our living room.
Along with a gentleman again.
Hello, everybody.
The third time. You know what they call the third time, right?
What?
Turkey.
Oh, the gentleman is a turkey.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you get 3 strikes in a row,
Is
it's
it
a
like
turkey.
Is it like gobble gobble?
Oh, it will be. You are what you eat. Giant dick.
Awesome.
Angela's already, she's like, fuck it, I've already lost this podcast.
Yeah. I'm back to trying to control things.
Yes, she's in the captain's chair. And I'm in the blowjob chair.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait, which is
Who are you, Mrs. H?
we can swap. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about upcoming events.
What do we have upcoming?
So we have on June 29th.
We're going to Radelaide.
We're going to be in Adelaide. We're going to visit the Rabbit Hole, which is a relatively new club. They opened earlier this year down there. And they're having a rainbow party. So it's both swingers and the greater LGBT community. It's going to be really exciting, to kind of get everybody together. I've not been to the venue, so I'm really interested to check out and see the venue.
I have. It's awesome.
I was going to say, the pictures on the website look really great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a fantastic venue. I'm really excited for this. Which also, just to add, happy Pride Month, everybody. It's June.
Absolutely.
It's kind of amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
We celebrate all month long.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah. So that's June 29th down in Radelaide. And then we have July 19th is the next pendulum party at our secret spot.
Yes.
Yes, so put that on your calendar, everybody.
Yeah, I'm traveling for work that week, so Angela's going to Pendulum solo.
Solo.
Yeah. So
Yes.
if you're out there and you're looking for a date for Pendulum Party, and Angela's looking for a date, and the gentleman is predisposed. Yes, but definitely come out to see that. That's gonna be awesome. I'm sad. It'll be Pendulum 11.
I know.
1-1.
1-1.
Yeah.
Or XI.
Or XI. That's correct, since we have been doing Roman
I
numerals
know.
before.
I was like, wait a minute. I would go back to...
At some point, it gets too difficult and we move on to Arabic numbers.
Okay, fine. Fair enough.
Because think about it. When it's pendulum MCC, XIV, LMNOP, I'm pretty sure that's pi. I don't know. H pi.
It's like, what is it? A Fibonacci?
Fibonacci.
Yeah.
That's a type of pasta.
Man, I've had 2 wines.
I had Fibonacci Alfredo. Okay. So we've got Pendulum coming up July 19th.
Yes, and then that's the last big thing until we go to Desire.
Well, so far.
I mean, something else will come up, I'm sure. But for now, that's the last big thing until Desire, November 2nd through 9th in Cancun, Mexico.
And guess who's coming with us?
Naughty Rocket?
No. Oh my God, I promise you we did not prompt him to say that. I was talking about you, dumbass.
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
Yes, the gentleman is coming with us, so we're all going to go down for the Life on the Swing Set takeover.
We were all going
Super
down
looking
for the
forward
Life
to
on the
that.
Swing
Yes.
set. Yes.
And if you're able, available, and interested, please come join us. There are still a handful of rooms left. So
There's not
that's
many.
Great. Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Ooh, what do we know what percentage they're sold out at? Because they've already hit
They were in the 70s last time I heard. I'm not sure exactly where it is.
Did you
now.
just ask what percentage they're sold out at? Because that percentage would be 100.
Well, no, but like they're up to. Is
Oh,
what I
okay.
meant.
Sorry, I thought you meant like,
Again,
at what
two
percentage
glasses.
are they sold out? 100? I'm confused. God, you're pretty.
Shut up.
Yes, so that's, I think they were in the 70s though, last time I saw, but I haven't looked recently, so I'm not sure exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, but there's still some spaces left, so if you're interested, come join us.
Yeah,
gonna
come
be
along. It's
pretty
going to be
amazing.
fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be amazing. That's all that's on, those are the only big events on the calendar at the moment. Obviously, things will fill in, they always do, but yeah. So those are three that I'm really, really excited for coming up.
Me too.
Yeah.
We have an audience today.
We do?
I'm going to give a shout out to our audience. Hello, audience! They're silently clapping. It's okay.
It's an audience of one.
Yeah, and they don't even give us applause. So,
It's like the sound of one hand clapping.
Apparently there's one that takes precedence over clapping.
Yeah, so there you go. That's what I live for. That's what I always ask when I'm dismounting. Like, will you please clap for me? Some people are like, man, you've had to clap so many times. Call it the applause. I know it's an Archer joke, but if you haven't heard it, then it's new. I'm like, yeah, it's great. So, what are we talking about tonight?
What are we talking about tonight?
We've had a lot of questions and feedback from different listeners, and so I thought we would just kind of go through some of these.
Okay.
Because some of them are questions, and some are more discussive and really good points.
Yeah.
So, ready? Should we dive in?
Yeah, bring it on.
Bloody oath.
So the first one is a bit long, so hang in with me.
So it's like the gentleman. Don't worry, I'm pretty sure we can choke it down.
So this is from a listener, and this was in regards to the sex-positive parenting.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Yes. With Dr. Deb and Dr. Christie.
Yes,
that's a good
Dr.
one.
Deb and Dr. Christie. This is from someone who has two children, one who is starting puberty and one who is a bit younger, so slightly different ages, but both kind of coming up to having those discussions and, wanting to obviously raise sex-positive children. And so basically I'm just going to read for a while. So, yeah.
So shut up and listen is what you're saying.
Exactly. I'm a very present and hands-on parent, and I count on my boys to be smart. So we started laying critical thinking foundations early on based on 2 bits of wisdom from the late Sir Terry Pratchett. Number 1, first sight. Seeing what's really there. This is fundamental to my boys for getting along in the world and reading other people. In particular, for my youngest, I have focused this on what are you being sold? I started this when he began watching cartoons on TV and first experienced advertising. Now he sees commercials for exactly what they are. You need this, buy our stuff. And he understands that his expected role in that emotional contract and that he doesn't have to participate in it. So basically teaching children, to recognize some of those signs. This fed directly into bullying topics. If someone says something mean about you, your first question should be, do I believe that about myself? If the answer is no, move on. If the answer is yes, then ask the second question, did I decide that, or did someone else convince me of that for their own reasons? If it's the latter, let it go and move on. All of this leads to questioning the motivation of others. In short, without training my boys to be cynics, I am teaching them to always question what beliefs about themselves and the world that others are trying to sell them, and to examine the motivation of those doing the selling. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. You can see how this is a different approach to the you're all precious and special method of bringing up kids to more of a you get to decide who you are for yourself, and I'm here to give you the tools to do it by teaching you to see what's real tactic. The relevant application to sex positivity, anti-bullying, normal is not some pinnacle of self-actualization, and who gets to set that standard, etc., should be far-reaching. And then number 2, people as things. This one is huge and comes from an exchange about the gray areas of moral philosophy between Elder Country Witch Granny Weatherwax and a priest in the book carpe jugulum. There's no grays, only white that's got grubby. I'm surprised you don't know that. And sin, young man, is when you treat people as things, including yourself. That's what sin is. It's a lot more complicated than that. No, it ain't. When people say things are a lot more complicated than that, they mean that they're getting worried that they won't like the truth. People as things, that's where it starts. Terry Pratchett, Carpe Jugulum. This is the North Point of my boy's moral compass. When people are treated as things, it's wrong. End of story. This is far-reaching and can cover objectification, body dysmorphia, prejudice, racism, politics, human trafficking, etc. Suddenly there is a really simple filter to put on things like propaganda, media, messages, relationship dynamics, gender and sexual identity, even porn. Am I being treated like a thing instead of a person? Is that person being treated like a thing? Am I treating myself like a thing? Here's a combined application from my kid's perspective. Topic. Dad is bisexual. My friends say bisexuals are morally corrupt, going to hell, not good parents, perverse, icky, unsafe, etc. Pick your crime of choice. Questions. 1. According to who and why do they get to decide? 2. Dad is not bisexual. Dad is dad and happens to be bisexual. Otherwise, isn't that classifying dad as at the things level? And then 3, what do I believe about Dad, since I probably know him a lot better than the people who are saying these things? So, pretty simple. In real life, we've used this method mostly to talk about bullying, racism, and propaganda, but we've touched on internet safety, body privacy, and in general how to treat other people like people. But the foundation is laid for the rest of it. So the point is, we're talking about real things, big things, and they know they're always safe and welcome to do so. So that was a lot there.
That was a lot there.
Yeah, but it's good. I mean, it's a different kind of way to lay the foundation of teaching people, teaching kids to look at what's in front of them and kind of decide for themselves what the motivation is, why it's there, what they think about it.
Yeah, I actually think it's some of the points are absolutely brilliant.
And to do so without being cynical.
Exactly. Well. And which I think Terry Pratchett is a fantastic choice, as an example there. So midway through.
Yes, I can go back to any part.
Yes. Midway through, there was part, it was before 2.
Was about the bullying?
Yes.
So that paragraph starts with, this fed directly into bullying topics. If someone says something mean about you, your first question should be, do I believe that about myself? If the answer is no, move on. If the answer is yes, then ask the second question, did I decide that or did someone else convince me of that for their own reasons?
And I think that's really good. That's such a good point, because we should even do this when we judge ourselves.
Yeah.
Is, sometimes when we judge ourselves and we look at ourselves in the mirror, we're self-bullying. And that's a great kind of point on that, which we've talked about before, which is the mirror is a fucking liar. Mm-hmm. Do we feel this way because it's actually real, or do we feel this way because of external pressures, be it societal, be it familial relationship, or something else that makes us feel this way? I like this.
Yeah.
I want to be this person's child. If they're looking to adopt people, hi, I'm Bradford. I'm a bit of a handful.
Only one?
The gentleman's 2 handfuls.
And a mouthful. I also think that it's important with the bullying as well. I like to try to teach my children what the motivation is behind their bullying as well. Mm-hmm. Why are they bullying you? Is it something that they identify in themselves, that they see in you, that they don't have, or that they're jealous of, and so they pick that point out in you to pick on you to make themselves feel better? So
perceived weakness in the bully, they're picking that out of you, and then because of their perceived weakness.
And to understand why they're doing what they're doing. And so then they can take it not personally, but have a reflection back on the person who's actually doing the bullying. Mm. And to say, well, I understand that they're trying to bully me, but they're only bullying me because of this self-consciousness in themselves. Mm.
Yeah.
You know, and then hopefully in doing that, then they don't take on whatever they're being bullied on, whatever the point is. They don't take that personally. They can mirror that into the bully themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because a lot of people, when you look at their true motivations, especially negative behaviors, do tend to come from places of self-doubt, insecurities in ourselves. And then we may reflect those upon other people, whether purposefully or inadvertently, because it can absolutely happen without necessarily meaning to. But it is good to take a step back and to look at that. And I like, too, what you said, Bradford, about looking at those behaviors in yourself, because we do all self-bully a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm hard on myself.
Well, yeah.
I feel like I should be hard on
What did you say that the comment that the mirror is a liar?
Yeah, the mirror's a fucking liar. It's not just a liar.
I also think that sometimes the mirror you look at is a magnifying glass. The small imperfection you see, you magnify that to, oh my God, I'm terrible, I'm horrible. But the person on the street who sees you doesn't even see it. Yeah.
And it's just to expand on that. We often say, we see people walking around on the street and we're like, wow, I can't believe that they dress that way or they have that kind of confidence or whatnot. We all have it in us. It's just a matter of drilling down and tapping into that.
Yeah.
And stop bullying yourself. But that, again, that's off topic. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. I do think it's also interesting to teach children to recognize propaganda and to look at what are you being sold? What are the motivations behind that?
Yes.
I actually think that is a really good thing, really smart thing to teach them early on, because your entire life you're going to be sold things by people. Yeah. Whether it's actual products, whether it's people selling themselves to you, trying to win you over for whatever reason.
Ideas.
Ideas. It could be anything. And so I think, teaching them to kind of recognize that, and then they can act on it how they want.
Yeah. Deciphering the truth from the bullshit that they get fed. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that, like you said, that involves from just the basic commercial selling of things to people trying to, even to a point where when they're older, I suppose, to drugs and whatnot, take this, it's cool. You're going to be part of the gang if you do this. Well, that's bullshit. It's, though
the other side of
your own
that,
choices, and it's not,
because the other side of that is the way we were raised was the second you do one drug, you're a terrible person for the rest of your life. I mean, that was the way.
You're an addict.
You're an addict, and that's you're broken from that point on. Yeah. And I think that is just as bad as the other.
Yeah. And I actually think the second point is pointing out the people as things section. So, and that was where the quote from the Carpe Jugulum came from. But I think recognizing when people are being treated as things, because we see it in everyday relationships, you see it all around society. It does happen. And so I think being able to kind of recognize and say that that's not right is a very good thing. And it's interesting because I would say that in the swinging world, it can be perceived that people are things very easily, because we may go to the club and we may meet somebody and we're like, ooh, they're really attractive. They're fun to talk to. They're nice, whatever. So we're going to go play with them. And so, some people may be like, well, you're treating them like a thing.
Yeah.
And so from the outside world, it can definitely be perceived that way. But yet, for us, there's more of an intimate connection. There's something a little bit deeper there. Whether it's an ongoing connection and it's somebody that we continue to see for a while, or maybe it is just a once in a while, one-off kind of thing. But at least for that moment, there's a connection.
Yeah.
So, but people from the outside world may see it as and it can be, transactional. And so I think, just kind of making sure that in this lifestyle, we don't treat people like things, that we do treat them like people. I think is really
They're people.
important. Yeah.
I think it's a really important distinction as well to teach the kids to recognize when they are being treated as things, and to identify that early. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, getting behind seeing the truth of things.
Yeah. And if you feel like you're being treated as a thing, how do you recognize what's going on in the situation? And then how do you go about correcting it? Like, is it something that, especially as a child, you may need to go to your parents, you may need help to intervene, to change what's happening depending on where or when or what the situation specifically was. So you may need help with that, but it's also teaching them as a child that it's okay to ask for help, and that if you don't like this situation, if you don't like what's going on, if it's not comfortable, if you do feel like you're being treated like a thing or somebody else is, what do you do? How do you correct that both for yourself or for the other person?
True.
And we actually had a discussion today at lunch with some other folks about giving people permission to be and to act and to do things. And it, with the discussion earlier was more along the lines of kind of the Good Samaritan concept of if you see somebody who's being treated poorly, it's something bad's happening, a bad situation, and it can be something minor or it could be something major. How many of us just sit on the sidelines and we don't act, we don't say anything, you just watch it happen. Or you pull out your phone and you're videoing it as something's happening. But very few people these days will actually go in, we'll say something, we'll act upon it, and we'll do that. And the discussion that we had was around the kind of the idea that we don't give ourselves permission to do that. We don't give ourselves permission to act and to say, hey, no, that's not acceptable behavior, that's not okay. And a lot of people don't feel like they have permission to do that in the greater world.
Yeah. And I think we should try to find a way to act and to be a more active person, not just a voyeur when we see things like this happen.
Well, and that's a good point too. And coming back to raising the children as well, if they can see you as a parent or as a role model in their lives, making that change that you want to teach them, sometimes the best thing is the role model.
Yeah.
If they can see you living those values, then that gives them permission to live those values as well.
Right.
Which is funny because, growing up, we often heard, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
And what you're suggesting is do as I say and as I do, which is inconceivable.
but
Clearly you're mad.
But that's exactly how they learn. You know?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Children are mimics.
They are. They really are. And you always hear about, oh God, I'm becoming my mother, or I'm becoming my father. Of course you are, because they were the person who you looked up to when you were learning how to live. How to live a life.
Well, thanks. You just ruined my podcast.
Sometimes you can also learn from that.
Yes. Well, that's right. Yes, you can learn and make your own decisions at a point. But when you're talking about children, I think that they do mimic you.
Just don't want to watch the Home Shopping Network for 4 hours. That's what we're doing once we get done with the podcast. You thought we were going to have sexy times. No, we're watching Home Shopping, buddy. Hope you got your credit card.
Is it Home Shopping on the Playboy channel?
No. Tonight is all about lampshades. It's 4 hours of lampshades.
Oh, is it the
Nope, not the sexy men.
Not the sexy men lampshades?
Nope, just lampshades.
Pineapple lampshades.
Nope. There are actually no patterns. They're
Throw me a fucking bone.
No bones either. No, just lampshades. That was great. And we really appreciate people who send these really thoughtful, well thought out emails.
And to that listener, I mean,
you're doing it right.
What a great parent, and you're doing it right, and kudos to you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And like I said, if you're looking to adopt people, there's 3 people at this table who are,
be my daddy.
Be my dad. Be my dad. I will probably be bad. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, if you can keep him in line,
Yeah, that's right. Yes, spankings don't always work.
Spankings are welcome.
I am leash trained.
Yeah, we're still working on the potty training, so Okay, we ready for the next one?
Yeah, actually, I have something I was going to jump in here.
Okay,
sure. Because that was a serious one.
Yes.
I've got a little more lighter one.
All right.
So, as our lovely listeners will recall, the last time the gentleman was on the podcast, Angela gave him a blowjob while we were
while we were recording.
Oh, I don't remember that. Can I have a quick recap?
There's a picture, if you want to see it. See, that's it happening.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
it
there's
happens.
you.
Yes,
on
yeah.
Instagram.
Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah.
It happened.
But one of the comments on this Instagram post, I love this, and I don't know if you actually, because I know you're not really on Instagram, but this user said, "Have just started listening to you guys. Dash, is the gentleman as hot as he sounds?" LOL. And then I responded, because I love you. Yes, he is. Then flame emoji, flame emoji, flame emoji. Now the last one was because you're
Wait,
flaming.
just 3?
Yeah, but you're just.
Did you run out of characters?
Was that on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 to 10 flames?
Okay. Well, the first one is because you're hot. The second one is because you're flaming, and the third is it burns when you pee.
I got a cream for that. Doctor says not infectious to be gone in a week.
Yeah, but how's the rash? So I gotta push you down. I gotta push you down because all of our listeners love you. So I responded. Then this listener said, "Oh God, you didn't have to tell me. Now I won't be able to focus when he features on future episodes." So now this listener's having trouble focusing.
I hope they're not driving a vehicle.
Yes. Yeah. What do you want them to be driving, baby?
Stick shift.
Yeah. So I responded, "Haha, why did you ask?" To which they responded, "I didn't think you would actually answer." Now I'll have to put a podcast on in the dark on repeat and see where the mood takes me.
Oh my goodness.
I absolutely love this.
Wow.
So I responded, not to be too tempting, but we recorded one of our threesomes with him in April and posted it to our Patreon page. It's an hour of audio pleasure.
With the electro play.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's my favorite response I have ever gotten to anything I've ever posted. You've heard that right, listener. This is my favorite response I have ever gotten.
Mine too.
Jesus H. Titty fucking Christ. Spelled JayZUSSH. Titty fucking. I'm pretty sure you can spell that. CHRAST. Christ.
Christ.
Jesus H. Titty fucking Christ. I don't know this person. I don't know where this person is, but in my
I
mind,
hear it with the southern accent.
I hear it in the It's like it's like one of those South Georgia. I have no idea where this person is. Excuse me a moment while I go get on that ASAP while I'm out to dinner. Wow. So you heard that right, folks. We do have a threesome that we recorded, and it's on Patreon. And if you'd like to support us, please go to our Patreon page. That was. I just wanted to.
Y'all have the best listeners.
Yes, and what do you want to do to those listeners? Go ahead, give one for this listener. What would you do to this person?
This person?
Yeah.
Oh, you've put me on the spot.
I have. Be sexy. Do it.
Come up with something good. Come on.
No.
No pressure.
Was that sexy?
You know what? You know what? I always say, and Angela says this, the best way into her pants is through her funny bone.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe this listener is laughing and taking their knickers off.
Ooh, I hope so.
Yeah. You gotta stuff them in your mouth.
While at dinner.
Stuff them in your mouth. Dirty knickers. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I like that.
Yeah. All right, there you go.
Well,
You heard it here first, folks. The gentleman wants dirty knickers in his mouth.
Well, I really want a fourth flaming emoji, really.
You know what? You can't have everything you want. If you want it, get a fucking Instagram account and put your own up there. I'm actually one flame hotter. Wait, why? Because it's Fahrenheit?
Well, thank you. I'm very flattered.
That's better.
Yes. Yes.
And I admit, when I first read that, I said, he'll never be on this podcast again.
And then
And the
here,
very next podcast.
a week later.
Yeah. Look, I'm easily bribed. Okay.
Okay, so before we move on,
Ooh.
we're going to take a very quick commercial break.
Ooh, that means I can get more wine.
Ooh, my wine.
Refill time.
Woohoo! Go get you a drink at home.
Join us on The Wet Coast, a podcast about sexuality and ethical non-monogamy of every variety. We talk polyamory and swinging, monogamish and open relationships, from dirty, dirty sex to heartbreak and everything in between. We share our personal experiences and philosophy, observations and theories, what works for us, and where we fucked it right up. This isn't your average couple's Explanabrag podcast, though we definitely do a little of that. We share our adventures in open with a unique, funny, feminist, and Canadian approach. Come get wet with us on The Wet Coast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back.
We went somewhere?
We have wined up.
Wino!
Hopefully you've, gotten a beverage of some sort. Unless you're, driving, then probably not.
You probably shouldn't drink and drive.
No.
No, don't do that,
I mean, you
please.
could have coffee.
Yeah, pull over.
Oh, coffee, yeah.
Yeah. Pull over and drink.
What's wrong with you?
Please do not listen to the gentleman.
Oh, goodness.
This is why you only got 3 flames.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Sorry about that.
Because you make bad life decisions. Mm-hmm. Or
Bad
you,
decision bad.
you suggest that people make bad life decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do we have next?
So, this was from actually a little while ago, but I don't think we touched on it. If we did, we'll go through it again. It was from a listener in Europe, and they said they are a solid 0 on the Kinsey scale. That's how they identify.
Okay.
But they want to climb the ladder. They do not fantasize about men. I think it was a male who wrote in. I don't fantasize about men, but I do want to suck a cock, and I do want to bottom for a man while my lady watches. Does that make me a 1?
I want to give this person a hug. And then I want to smack him on the forehead a little. But I definitely want to give this person a hug.
Oh, I want to give him a blowjob.
Get in line. Me first, then you.
Sorry.
Look, you'll go through our history of podcasts, and you'll hear me say many different things on this subject. I have very strong opinions about it when it comes to me. I am a lot more relaxed about it when it comes to other people. However, there's no necessary need to rank yourself on the Kinsey scale.
Right. You don't have to label yourself.
There's no necessary need to label yourself. If you have desires to do something, so then that's the question. So a question you could say is, do I rank myself on the Kinsey scale based on what I've done or based on what I want to do? Mm-hmm. So that's sort of like saying, okay, I want to murder somebody or I have murdered somebody. Which one of those makes me a murderer? Kind of thing. So the question is, how do you validate that for yourself? Me personally, because the listener has this desire, I would say they're not a 0. You're not a 0.
I would say
the 0 means you have no sexual interest in somebody of the same gender.
I would agree. I would say if you have the desire, you're at least a 1.
Yeah.
If you're at least thinking about it, fantasizing about it. If
that bothers you that you're on that scale, then fucking remove the scale. There's no need for that scale.
Don't refer to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's an admittedly, and I'm pretty sure Kinsey would have agreed with this, it's an arbitrary scale. Look, it's one of those things that I don't think you should put yourself in a box. And the reason I say that isn't because you don't deserve to be labeled or shouldn't be labeled, but when you're in a box, all you fucking see is that box. And you don't see the great space that's outside of it. The second you start putting up barriers and walls and conditions and you start building this cage around you, and it's a cage. And I think that you miss out on a lot of the world. Mm-hmm. So my advice would be, don't worry about where you fall on the Kinsey scale. But if you do worry about it, I don't think you're a 0. I'd put you at least a 1. If you want to suck somebody off and you want to get fucked by somebody, you're not a 0.
Yeah, you're at least a 1.
You're at least a 1.
Yeah.
You might not enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, fuck, that's okay too. There's absolutely nothing that
doesn't
says.
fundamentally change who you are.
eggs.
Exactly.
I listen to a listener.
Yeah.
A listener and a guest.
1 or 2 podcasts. Yeah.
And I think that's really important is to not necessarily overthink it. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Think about it, but don't overthink about it.
I also think it's interesting too to bring up the difference between fantasizing and acting on something.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you fantasize about sucking someone off or bottoming for someone while your partner watches, that's really great. You don't have to do it. If you never feel like you're actually ready to do that, or you don't have a situation in which you feel comfortable to do that, that's okay. You don't have to. Just because you fantasize about it does not mean you have to act on it. It can definitely stay a fantasy and be something that's really exciting and really just kind of yours and really hot for you.
Right.
So if you want to act on it, by all means, act out your fantasies, but don't feel like you have to. Don't feel like there's pressure to.
And it doesn't make it any less valid, and it doesn't make you any less bisexual.
No.
Like, if you want to be bisexual, you don't have to act on it in order to be bisexual.
You don't have to justify it either.
No, there's no test that you have to take. But if there was, I would pass. I'm kidding. But I think you make a really good point about fantasies, in that having a fantasy about something and the reality of it is often vastly different.
Yes.
And I can tell you, bottoming, the fantasy of bottoming is this wonderful, like, connective, rough and dirty, wonderful thing. Sometimes it is like that. And then sometimes it's like, ow, that fucking hurts. Like, no, it's too fast. No, stop it. Or, your partner can't keep an erection. Or, like, there's all this fucking mess that's going on of reality.
Lube, and more lube.
Yeah. And so it ends up being a slippery point.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
No. Yeah.
But keep fantasizing about it.
What suggestions would we have for this listener to act out these, or to experience what he's fantasizing about?
So the gentleman in my address is come to Pendulum.
Yeah, come to
I think a lot of it depends on where you are, because if they're in a more metro area, then it's very likely that they will have gay saunas or swingers club or something like that they would go to. If they are not in more of a metro area, or even if they are, you can also get onto dating websites, even Tinder, things like that.
OkCupid.
Yeah, OkCupid, and look for people that are Grindr. Get on Grindr, see who's around. So I think it kind of just depends on where you are and what the options are, whether it is an online hookup or if you can do something more in person.
Yeah. Or if you're in a place where sex work is decriminalized, hire a sex worker.
Yeah, absolutely.
We know plenty of people who have hired sex workers for a threesome, both males and females, and I think that's a completely legitimate solution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But in answer to the actual question, does that make me a 1? My personal opinion is yes.
Me too, 1.5.
But you label yourself if you want to. It really doesn't matter what we think.
Yeah, and really, it changes.
It does. Absolutely.
Sometimes I'm a 2, sometimes I'm a 3. It changes from month to month, day to day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
play to play. It does. It's a reference point. It's not a
it's not static.
It's not an anchor.
Yeah.
And I think you're spot on there. There are times that the only male I'm really interested in is you and the other boyfriend, and then I'm all about the women. And then there's some where I'm like, the only female I'm interested in is Angela, and I'm not interested in any other women.
Yeah.
And it's very much.
Yeah, it comes.
It's a floating
it goes.
Sometimes you spend the night.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, sometimes I don't. Yeah, right. Yeah. Sometimes it comes and then comes.
Then it goes. Then you're like, oh my God, I'm so sore. You start farting like this.
Sorry.
Are we ready for the next question?
Yes.
Or response or whatever?
Oh, is this one?
Yes.
I got
Do you
it.
want
Yep.
it or do you want me to?
Oh, I got it. I think I can read.
Bradford's going to try to read now.
I'm going to try to read. I need my glasses.
This is an Instagram message that was sent to us. I'm listening to the podcast and I've been enjoying it thoroughly. I'm not in the community. I'd like to be, but that's a different topic. My question for you was in regards to something the gentleman said. He was talking about another couple and he said, quote, "They are out of our league," end quote. I'm having trouble understanding this. You guys were all at a group event where everyone was there to have fun. Differing tastes aside, is everyone not there to just enjoy and be happy? What would cause someone to feel that they aren't in the same, quote, league as someone else?
Dum, dum, dum. I like that question a lot.
Well, I think my reply to that would be, I mean, everybody, including myself, has their own insecurities. And it's not like when I walk into these events, I check that insecurity at the door.
Wouldn't it be great if we could?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Yeah, but the cost on that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, what would the cover charge be
It would
on
be a
that?
very
Yeah.
large coat check.
Yeah, exactly. And the size of your ticket would be like empty baggage.
Now, that being said, that couple who were, quote, out of my league, we ended up playing with and now have started a great relationship with. But again, and I think too, going into these events, it's important to realise that it's not an absolute free for all either, and it's not always about what a person looks like. It is about the mental connection and how you get along with someone, and there's a lot more to it than just we're all in the same place, let's all fuck it. That's not how it works. And yeah, I think when I said that comment about being out of my league, it is a self-conscious thing, and it is that insecurity that I think that everybody has at some point.
Yeah. Well, I know that we have a couple that are very good friends of ours that have been to very many, private parties that we've hosted, that when we first met them, both of us went, yep, they're out of our league. And it was just like, we look at them and you cannot. Again, this goes back to what I said earlier, which is the mirror is a fucking liar. But you can't not compare yourself to people, and that's a problem. And if you see somebody who you think is so attractive and so, smart or pretty or whatever, funny, or tall, I don't care what adjective you're going to put there, but as long as it's a compliment adjective, you're going to look at that and then you're going to compare it to yourself.
Of course.
And I think the vast majority of us, and the vast majority of us who aren't narcissists always will say, well, that person is prettier than me, smarter than me, whatever. And sometimes it's a physical proof, taller than me, kind of thing. And so, and I think we all do it both with physical characteristics and personality characteristics. And you create this person that you feel is out of your league. And then you talk to them, and then this couple that we're thinking about, they've even said to us, oh my God, we thought you were out of our league because we run a podcast.
It's funny you were saying that, because I was waiting for my point to interject, but that couple who were out of our league have since told us that they thought that we were out of their league. So they had their own securities as well.
Yeah.
Insecurities.
What did I say?
Securities.
Oh, right, yes. Well, they had their securities. Well, because they were goddamn hot, that's why. But yeah, I mean, I think
it's just natural human reaction to do that and to feel that way. And as much as you don't want to, some part of us does sort of judge people and say, am I at some random perceived same level as them enough to go up and talk to them or not? And that's why our advice to people is always, if you're interested in someone, go up and talk to them and say hello and just put a feeler out there and see how it goes, because you may end up having a really great conversation and a really great night, but they may have, like you said, that same perception of you and then not want to come talk to you. And then you get a stalemate, and then everybody, you don't have that interaction, you don't have the good time that you could have. And everybody still walks away thinking that someone's out of their league. And so you're sort of putting yourself down for a longer period of time. Yeah. Whereas if you just say hello, open up that door, give people a chance to react to it, and vice versa, you may be making it super easy for them because they may feel awkward coming up to you as well.
Yes, yeah. And you are right. I mean, we were lucky enough that it was at the Pendulum Party that we saw that couple and that they saw us. And the environment of the night and the people there and the groups of people that you guys have managed to form, that community that come to the party, made both us and them feel comfortable enough to, even though both of us thought they were out of each other's league, we were comfortable enough to come up and say hi and start that conversation, because it is, there was that welcoming feel in the place. And that was the time to do it.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting point as well, is that it can be as well environment dependent, is that if a party scene is an easy one, because if you're going to the party, you likely have similar interests. You have a similar enough reason for being there. And so I think that does make it easier to go and talk to people and to maybe... Yeah. In some way in your mind, you can maybe rationalize that you're probably more in a similar league because you're at the same event, so you have similar interests in that regard. Yeah. But if you're meeting people online, it can be a lot harder because you don't necessarily have any commonality yet at that point, other than you might be on the same website. But having a common interest, a common activity, whether it be an event, meet and mingle, or a picnic. I mean, because I know some of the places here do picnics and stuff. So anything like that, like having that commonality kind of helps, I think, in my mind, put me on more of an equal plane. So then I feel more comfortable going up and talking to someone.
Yeah, and I think too that there are things available that you guys run, the Sex Ed and City class, that have the art of flirting, and to prepare you or to teach you how to kind of get over that a little bit and to make that first connection. Yeah. So it can be a learned response to, oh my God, that person's out of my league. I might just go up and just compliment them on what they're wearing, or there's ways to get around that, to get around your own initial fear of talking to somebody, I suppose.
I mean, the only time that doesn't work is if they're wedding crashers, but then it's just Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn, so you probably don't want to talk to them
Your
anyway.
veil looks amazing.
And I will say, there was a study that was done, and I think they actually talked about it on Tinder, did a podcast for a little while, and I think they talked about it on there, where these Tinder profiles of both men and women who were ridiculously attractive got less swipe rights than ones that were of mid to sort of attractive. Because people would look at that person and go, so many people are going to be talking to them. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to swipe right. Where, the reality was these people weren't getting nearly as many swipe rights as people of average to above average
interesting
looks. Yeah. And so I think that's a fascinating thing to think about. Like, that person who's out of your league, they might be having a bad night or a lonely night because everybody thinks they're out of your league, their league. Yeah. And
it's just
so nobody talks to them.
Human psychology, isn't it?
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
God, we're all fucked up.
Yes.
Well, and I've seen that at nightclubs. I know I was at a nightclub, many years ago now, with two male friends, and there were these two really hot females together. And like you said, nobody was going up and talking to them. Nobody was dancing with them. They were really hot. And my male friends were, of course, commenting on it, and so was I. And I was just like, well, go talk to them. And they're like, no, we couldn't do that. I'm like, but why? Like, nobody's like, go
because
talk
we're
to
too
them.
Scared to. Yes.
And so I was like, all right, fine. So I went up and started talking to them. And then, of course, the guys came, and everybody had a great night. One of them took one of the ladies home, and it was great. But it's like,
was that one of them you, babe?
No. No. But
what a shit story.
But it is.
I was really ready to hear her talking about lip reading and shit like that.
Yeah.
No, but it is.
I took her to Angela Pound Town. Sorry.
You too. No, but it's that, like you said, it's like people weren't going up and talking to them because
Right.
they perceive them to be out of their league.
Yes.
And meanwhile, they're not having any fun whatsoever. And so, yeah.
There you go.
So that was a long answer to
Yes.
a relatively succinct question. Apologies.
All right, so here's a fun one. And I've got a bit of a list so far we can add to it. And I suspect this is going to be one that's going to be a running thing for a little while.
Ooh, I like running things.
Yes. So, one of our listeners and their partner, they want to use a sex jar as a way of ensuring that they both get their desires and fantasies out there, verbalized, expressed to one another, and also in an attempt to ensure that they don't get into a rut. Because it's sometimes really easy to get into a rut in a relationship. So they want to have ideas that will push the boundaries and explore a bit of the unknown. So for them, that means kind of exploring the swinging and the bi communities.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that everything in there has to be wild and crazy, but they just kind of wanted some ideas to put into the jar. And they did say the first one they would put on the list is another night at our secret spot. So they've been to a swingers club before, so they're not completely new to it. And even with that, of course, you know, there's a lot of different things you can add to the list depending on what room you're in, what mood you're in, et cetera, et cetera. So I've made a bit of a start of a list here, and some of it is kind of basic, assuming that you may be introducing yourself into the swinging scene. But I wanted to kind of start there because if people are interested in this kind of like a sex jar type of thing, you may want to start from basic and go up to who knows what.
Yep.
So the things that I have.
We've got a suggestion.
Okay.
Pegging.
That's on my list. Granted, it was like halfway down my list, but.
It's an activity guide took place in last night, actually.
Yes, pegging is definitely one you should put on the
All the
list.
people are now like, can we hear that story?
No.
It's another podcast, listeners.
So the things that I have here, and feel free to jump in where you want to, but I have a night at a meet and mingle if you're near a swingers club and they do meet and mingles. And you can follow that with a visit to the club if you feel adventurous. This is, again, assuming that you've not done anything like that before, or even if you have and it's been a while. Could be fun to do again. Visit a swingers club with no pressure to play, unless you both kind of feel like it at the time. Create a couple profile on a dating site. Meet up with someone from that dating site. Have oral sex with someone of the same gender. Use a toy during sex with your partner. And take a class at Studio Kink or some other similar venue that may be getting out of your comfort zone if you're interested in different kind of kink-related activities.
Yeah.
Get a hotel in the city, particularly if you can find one with a mirror on the ceiling.
Yes.
We managed to find that in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And imagine many places it's difficult, but, you know, go to
Or a
LA.
great balcony, you know, with a great view.
yeah.
Have sex on the balcony or something.
Yeah.
That's,
Absolutely. Sex outside.
yeah.
Sex in a place where you may be caught.
Oh,
Like the Sears changing room.
Dressing room, yeah.
yeah.
Sears. It's like Kmart.
Oh, okay.
Great. JCPenney.
JCPenney, yeah.
Yeah. Take a bath together and see how long you can go without touching each other's genitals.
Which is hard in our bathtub because
I know.
we're basically stacked on top of each
It's
other.
not a big bathtub.
Because you have to press each other's genitals
Yeah,
against each other just to get in.
So step 3, buy a new apartment with a bigger bath.
Right. Have sex in front of other people.
But it was consenting people, not like your parents.
Right.
Yeah, you like that? Like that, Ma?
Hey, unless your parents consent.
Hey, you do you, West Virginia.
Watch other people have sex. Which I find
With their consent.
yes, with their consent.
But I will say, one thing I love to do is take binoculars to a hotel room and you look out at everybody's apartments.
Yeah.
I love doing that.
Yeah.
Don't leave your windows open, people.
Hey, if the blinds are open to me,
I know.
you know,
That's-
yeah.
You know what? Have sex with the blinds open.
Oh, we do
There
that.
you go.
Yeah.
Go to a hotel and let somebody, or just
Exactly.
the idea of somebody else watching you.
Yeah.
That could be a
Sometimes I
great
push her
first
up
step.
against the glass and she's like,
Yes.
oh, it's cold.
Well, we spent a great night in the hotel room. With,
we did. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The pictures are
Yes.
fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Participate in an orgy, which is 5 or more people.
I like that you have to
Thank you for the clarification.
Are you suggesting that people put that on their little slips of paper as well? 5 or more.
Go on an active swinger date, so some kind of activity as opposed to just go to a restaurant and sit and drink or dinner,
Yes.
whatever. Something, whether it be going for a walk somewhere, going to a particular event. Escape rooms can be both dangerous and good depending on how well you know the people.
If you haven't seen the Bob's Burgers, watch the Bob's Burgers.
Yeah. But I mean, there's all kinds of activities you can do. You know, we can go bowling or just go play pool somewhere.
Indoor rock climbing, get the other couple into a harness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great activity.
Yeah, it really highlights
And
the ass
it
nicely.
really highlights the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Hidden motivation.
Catch them with your mouth.
Oh.
Okay, so with you and your partner, mutual masturbation. And you can also have masturbation races. Mm-hmm. See who can come first.
Gold star.
This is where I got to pegging.
Oh,
Oh, of course.
pegging,
Yeah, sorry.
pegging.
We jumped the gun.
Public blowjob.
yeah.
Yeah.
So somewhere.
I got a blowjob in an alley once. That was great.
Yeah?
Yeah. Visit
In
a nude,
Newtown.
In Newtown, really?
Yeah.
visit a nude beach. Go to a burlesque performance. Watch porn together. Watch specific types of porn together. So if there's something you're really into and you may or may not, know if your partner will be, put it on the list. See how they go.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know why, babe. It just came up.
You can role play, but I would suggest not just putting role play down, but actually like detail specific scenarios and
Yeah,
things
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
want.
You could even you could even prolong that by arranging costumes and ordering the costumes online.
Yeah,
You know, and having your partner pick the costume for you and maybe make it a surprise, or you could.
But make sure you're in the same genre, because it's always weird to do like Game of Thrones sexy doctor.
Oh, yes, true.
Yeah, that's, I was going to say, you just kind of touched on my next one here a bit, which was to pick out an outfit for your partner to wear on a date together.
Oh, yeah.
So you dress each other,
Yeah.
basically.
But also, if you go out to a really nice restaurant, you don't want your partner to be like, Dr. Winter is coming. That's awkward.
Go on a date without underwear. So don't wear underwear when you go out.
Wait, wearing underwear is a thing?
For some people.
It's only half, mate. Look.
Oh my God, I love it. You're wearing a jock strap. I just did a drum beat on his ass.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry.
Take sexy photos of each other in lingerie. Take nude photos of each other. And then if you have any other specific fantasies. So I think that's a good starter list. Mm-hmm. I think kind of as the weeks go on, we can add a few things to it.
Maybe some sexting during the day
Oh,
if that's
sexting
not
is
already
good.
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, send some risque photos to each other while you're at work. Yes.
Yes.
And they don't have to be nudes at all. It could just be kind of suggestive little something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even just comments about when I come home, I'm going to.
Which is a great way to start dirty talk. If you're not really into dirty talk, that's a really good way to kind of get comfortable and just start
Yes,
verbalizing.
because you don't actually
some
have
of
to
those
say
things.
it, but you can write it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you look at it and you're like, backspace, 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 backspace.
Eggplant.
Peach emoji.
Yeah. So that was, I think the idea of a sex jar is a really great one. And it is a good way that you can kind of keep things mixed up and, have different kind of interactions.
I would add, because this person has talked about in the swinging community and the bi community, find a venue like Rule 34 where they do queer theater. I think that, and I know all major cities have some sort of queer theater. Either it's people getting up and doing poetry reads that they've written themselves, or little acts or performance events. But going to queer theater is, I think that'd be.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of going to an event, whether it be the theatre or a class somewhere. And when you're there, take advantage of the people who are there and say hello and make, maybe not form friendship straight away, but at least have a conversation with other people who are there. And you may spark something up from that.
many areas as well will have meetup groups.
Yeah.
Meetup.com has some. Other places, if you just kind of Google whatever the group is that you're interested in. I know like here there's the Bi Plus Visibility group. So that can be a good way to meet other like-minded people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
I like
So
it.
there's a few good starter suggestions.
Yes.
Good
and
luck.
If you,
Yeah.
If you come up with your own, send them our way.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you have other ideas or things that you particularly like to do with your partner or things you want to do with your partner, send them to us and we'll just keep adding to this list.
You know what we could do? We could build a sexy mason jar, a sexy jar. And so what we would do is we'll write down all these things. Then you can download them from the website, cut them up yourself, put them in your jar at home,
Yeah.
and add your own stuffs.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
And then
I like that idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
that would be fun.
Absolutely. We could definitely do that.
Angela's in charge of our website right now, which is why I volunteer her.
Well, little by little. Yeah. But I can do that. That I can do.
Yeah,
Great.
that'd be great.
Little by little. Oh, we're back to pegging.
Inch by inch, baby. Inch by inch.
But,
Is that it? Is that all?
I think that's all for now. And so we'll go ahead and wrap things up. So if you enjoyed this, by all means, please send us your suggestions as well for the sex jar.
Yes.
And you can reach us by email at theatomsoflove@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at By the By Podcast. If you would like to support us, you can do that on Patreon, www.patreon.com/bythebypodcast. And yeah, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, we've got one of our Patreon supporters at the $50 mark is coming up with a hour FaceTime Skype with us here coming up pretty soon. So that's going to be
It's going
fun.
to be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to listen to the threesome that we had with the electro player,
That's right.
That's
It's
where you
on
can
there.
listen to that.
That's right.
That is hot, let me tell you. I have reminisced over that many times.
Do you not have a copy of it?
I do have a copy of it. That's
I
why
thought we
I've
did.
reminisced over it. When I say reminisced, I mean jerk off ferociously too.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm clearly out of my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, we have other things working with the gentleman here, so he'll be back on again, I'm sure.
No,
Yeah.
it's always a pleasure.
Once in a while, we'll allow him on.
Yeah.
Occasionally off as well.
Ooh, I like that.
Catch you soon.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Emily, co-host of the Multiamory podcast. We offer new ideas and advice for multiple forms of love, everything from conscious monogamy to ethical polyamory and radical relationship anarchy. And you're listening to a Swingset Network podcast. Find us and much more at swingset.fm.